Okay, good afternoon, Facebook. Thank you so much for joining. I really have to apologize for what happened a couple of minutes ago. I'm not sure what's going on in my office, but the lights just went off and came back on. But welcome and give us 2 minutes for Facebook to get this video visible to everyone. If you are here, please comment in and just give us a quick comment and say hello. Let us know where you're joining us from. Good afternoon. Give us 2 minutes, please. Welcome, Bunsey from Canada. It's good to have you in the house. Thank you. Okay. So I have this video on my page, Catherine. I didn't know how to get this on your page on Facebook, but I have it on my personal page now.
We can solicit Josh if there's something he can do on his end.
Okay. He can go to my page. It's Louisa Akaiso, and maybe be able to share it from there. Because I'm not able to. I think there's some security on your page.
Okay.
Yes. So the video is live. It's just I'm not able to put it on your page. So welcome, Facebook. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you. We are ready to go. It's so good to have you here. It's the Civilized Presence. We are here every Mondays and Fridays, usually at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. But today it's a special session. We're here on Thursday. And so thank you so much. I can see a lot of people coming in. Christopher, it's good to have you in the house. Esther, it's good to have you. Bonsi, it's good to have you. John from Nigeria, it's good to have you in the house. Sandra from Kenya, it's good to have you in the house. And let me know where you're joining us from. This is so exciting. It's the Civilized Presence. Yes, welcome. Thank you. Give us a thumbs up, give us some hearts, and comment in the box below. If I don't see you right away, we're using the Zoom today. So things are running a little bit different, but of course, I will get to it. So welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Amen. It's good to have you in the house. Wenger, it's good to have you in the house. Izzy from Canada, it's good to have you in the house. Samuel, it's good to have you in the house. Thank you so much. It's a Civilized Presence. I can see that our guests are coming in from different countries. So just come in and comment and let us know what country you're joining us from. We have someone who's so special to us in our midst today. And I am so excited and so thrilled to be working with the very best. And welcome, Amy Joy. It's good to have you. Thank you so much for making out time to be here. Now, some of you have never been here before. Civilized Presence is an online TV session where lives are changed, where people discover their purpose, their voice, and of course, learn social skills to thrive in the real world. So if you want to become a change maker, you are in the right place. Usually we're here every Mondays and Fridays at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, but we have special sessions such as this one. And Phil Vanover, it's great to have you in the house. ID, thank you so much. Ani, thank you so much for making up time. Alice, it's good to have you in the house. Thank you. Kate, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much. Yes, it's an afternoon session. It's been a while. I haven't had an afternoon session. Usually we have our book studies in the afternoon, but it's going to be a wonderful session this afternoon. It's a topic that affects everyone. So do me a favor, give us some hearts and share this video on your page. Invite people to be part of what we're doing. Invite your friends, invite everyone in your network, because I believe that if you find great value in the contents, I'm quite sure that there's someone around you who would enjoy our contents too. So please do us a favor and just invite them and share it on your personal page, and just get people to be part of what we're doing. It's a Civilized Presence. Thank you so much. I can see people coming in from different screens, and I really appreciate your making out time. Now, my name is Louisa Akaiso. You might not have met me before, and I am going to be your host for today. Of course, I feel so honored that you've made out time to be here this afternoon. It's a Thursday afternoon, and thank you so much. I'm not sure how you got here. Maybe you saw the flyer, maybe you saw the post on Facebook, on Instagram. Where are you connecting from? Are you here on replay? Welcome. Thank you. And I am a master civility trainer and a leadership expert with the John Maxwell team. I work confidently with leaders and professionals that place great importance in themselves and their reputation. And of course, that's going to be you this afternoon because you made out time to be here. So, yes, some of you might be asking a question: what is civility, especially if you've never been here before? And really, the main goal of this Facebook series is really to help restore civility in our society. So what we do here with different experts and professionals is really to break down the concept of civility into tiny bits where you can understand how easy but important it is for you to be civil. And I always share that it's beginning with little things like saying please and thank you. I'll even share a compliment, just like I'm going to do this afternoon, that Catherine, you look amazing.
Oh,
Thank you for
thanks.
making out time to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Catherine. It's such an honor to be working with you and serving with you this afternoon. So, guys, before I continue, I'm going to share a definition of civility. And this afternoon, I've chosen one from Dr. P.F. Funny. I call him the grandfather of civility. He left us a couple of months ago, but I believe that he's here with us and smiling down on us and what we're doing today. And that states that being civil means being constantly aware of others and weaving restraint, respect, and consideration into that very fabric of awareness. So civility is focused on gracious goodness. It's positive people's treatment. It's treating others the way that you want to be treated. So you can think about it as the golden rule. Civility is taking responsibility for your actions, continuously easing the experience of everyone that you come in contact with. Apologize earnestly if you have to. And of course, refrain from idle complaints. So this is some of the things that you would learn if you hang out with me. And whatever is the most simple definition for you, but something that I want you to go away from this session with is that civility is focused on positive people's treatment. It is so important. You cannot, listen, you cannot be civil on Monday and then on Thursday you decide to be out of order. And we're here and just encouraging you to embrace this as a lifestyle and being civil. And of course, I bring in the best of the best all the time to share with you the concept of civility and how they're working with this and impacting lives. And of course, today I have no other than Catherine Mattice. She is one of the thought leaders in the area of civility in the workplace. And of course, she's going to share her awesomeness this afternoon. So first of all, I'm going to give you an opportunity, Catherine, to just say hello to the audience. Over to you, Catherine.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for having me today. I love that definition of civility that you just shared. That was very eloquent. I really like that. So I'm Catherine Mattice Sundell, and I'm the CEO and founder of Civility Partners. And we are an HR consulting firm focused on creating positive work environments for our clients. So
this is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you so much for just making out time. And Catherine is all the way in California, and I really appreciate your taking the time, even with the time difference and your busy schedule, to be here. It's such an honor to be working with you guys. I'm going to share so much about Catherine today. She has a lot of books that you can learn from, so much materials. I've been following her for quite a while with all the great work that she's doing. And welcome, Dr. Eric Tejada. It's good to have you here. Sully, it's good to have you. Ambassador Davert, it's good to have you here from Kenya. It's good to have you. Thank you. Thank you, Charles from Ghana. Thank you for making out time to be here. It's so exciting having people from different parts of the world.
yeah.
Some of you, it's afternoon, it's night, it's midnight, whatever it is, you're welcome. Thank you for being here with me. I'm so excited. And another banger again from Nigeria. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is exciting. So the topic of today, if you had come across it, maybe it's in the flyer or the post, it's diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Yes. I know that there's so much, everywhere about diversity and inclusion. So many people are talking about it.
Hmm.
Sometimes they don't even know what it means. So this is why we had to bring the best this afternoon, really to share with us what is this diversity and inclusion, anyways? Does this even exist? Are people making progress with it? Why is it so important? Is this something that we should choose if we want to? But is this the future? Because you know what, guys? We're ending a decade and we do not want to start up 2020 the same way we did in 2019. I think that there should be a great impact and change and shift in the workplaces to make it a lot more comfortable and inclusive for everyone. So this is why we have Catherine here in the house. And Catherine, my first question for you, because how this works really is to get started with questions, begin the conversation.
Yep.
And audience, you can bring your questions to the experts in the house. So you can ask questions if you have any direct questions or you've experienced something that you would want to share. We really appreciate that so that we can talk about real life experiences. So, Catherine, my first question would be, what does civility mean to you? It would be great to learn from you. Over to you, Catherine.
Yeah. Civility is about caring about other people. That's the basic answer. It's about showing care. So, as with that very eloquent definition that you were just sharing, civility is something as simple as saying please and thank you shows that you care about that person and you appreciate them. Something as simple as apologizing if you accidentally cut somebody off in a conversation, it shows you care about that person. So, civility really is about moving through the world with an open heart and open mind around caring for other people. And I agree that it does take a lot of focus and intention to be civil. And that's the thing, is a lot of times we just go around and communicate, we say how we feel, we do our thing, we're just kind of moving through the world trying to get our own stuff done. But in order to do that well, you need to always have a focus on the other person and what they need from you. And it can be exhausting and take a lot of effort, but if you can get in the habit of seeing the world that way and functioning in the world that way, then you're all the better for it, and so are the people around you. I'll just add to that too. I'm a workplace bullying expert and an expert who goes in and builds civil work environments. And what I see a lot is incivility is ignored by workplaces. And so, because it's not illegal, because workplaces feel like, well, we can't dictate apologizing if you interrupt somebody, you can't micromanage people's behavior. And so that means the organization instead needs to focus on civility as part of their culture. And as we'll talk about today, obviously inclusion too, but you can't micromanage people's civility, but it's so important. And things like workplace bullying grow out of incivility. So if you allow that incivility to occur, it starts to move through the culture and it's insidious. So a real focus on civility is important.
Thank you so much. I just love your definition. I mean, talking about caring, because that's something that is kind of lost in the world right now. There's so much hatred and pain in the world, and we're so much in a hurry these days. And so it takes so much for you to even look around and even pay attention to the person next to you. And guys, I understand if you've never done it before, but you can learn tips and strategies to begin today. And welcome, Andrea, right from Dubai. It's good to have you in the house. Thank you so much for making out time to be here. The conversation is diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and I'm working with Catherine Mattice. And she's one of the best, I must tell you, in this topic. She's doing a lot of work in the workplace, really helping to build a positive corporate culture within the workplace. So if there's something you're struggling with, it's a good time for you to come in and connect with her. She is on social media I'm going to read her bio to you because there's so many other great things about Catherine. I
Thank
know
you.
that she told us a bit about herself. Catherine is a strategic HR consultant who assists organizations in building positive cultures through HR practices. She is widely recognized thought leader in the HR, and she is passionate about employers' responsibility to create the opportunity and environment for employees to thrive. She regularly appears in the media, NPR, CNN, USA Today, Time.com, and Forbes. And of course, her award-winning first book, Back Off. I love it. I love your kick-ass guide to ending bullying at the workplace. So, guys, you want to try to just stop by an Amazon, and I believe that if you type in her name, Catherine Mattice, you would be able to see all of her books. She has
Mhm,
about 3 or 4 books.
mhm.
You would be able to see all of them and all the work she's doing, not just on Amazon, but of course, if you go on Google, you'll see some other things about what Catherine is doing and currently doing with Civility Partners. And I'm so excited to have you here, Catherine. You have no idea, but I'm so honored to have you here
Thank you.
because I think you're the best person really to teach us about this. I loved something that you put together when you talked about inclusion and diversity.
Mhm,
I think that's something that I want us to talk about because I think that the term diversity and inclusion is kind of used very loosely
mhm,
nowadays.
mhm.
People have different definition of what it should be, but we have the expert in the house. Can you tell us more about what diversity and inclusion is and why this is so important? Over to you, Catherine.
Yeah, so I think in the 80s and 90s, diversity was all the rage. We've got to have focus on a diverse workforce. But then what do you do when you have a diverse workforce? And I have an old article from the Wall Street Journal that I'll have to see if I can find it and send it to you. But it's all about essentially treating everybody the same, sort of like ignore your differences, and that's how you'll function in this new craze of having a diverse workforce. And then we started moving into, okay, well, actually, maybe we need to include people if we're going to have a diverse workforce. So I think at its core, what that phrase diversity and inclusion means is that you want to have a diverse workforce made up of lots of different ages and races and sexual orientations and all of the different ways that people can be. You want to have diversity, but then you want to make sure everybody feels included in that organization. That's it at its core. But I think it's better if you reverse it and say that inclusion is what you're trying to build first, and through having an inclusive environment, the diversity will come. So, and inclusion is about ensuring that people feel like they belong there in your organization. And in my mind, a real definition of inclusion, because we're all going to misstep, is that people feel comfortable to talk about it if they feel hurt by something, or if something occurred. So if you're going to have an inclusive environment, people have to be able to say, hey, yesterday in that staff meeting this happened and it hurt my feelings, or it felt exclusive, and let me tell you why. And that people would be open to having those kinds of conversations. So in my mind, that's what real inclusivity means, because nobody's perfect. We all have implicit bias. We all are going to say something that might offend somebody, what have you. So in my mind, you have to start there, having an environment where people can talk about their differences and educate each other about why certain things aren't okay, or why certain things are feeling exclusive, and be able to work through those things.
Thank you so much. I have Barbara Lee in the house. Thank you so much. Thank you. Barbara Lee is from the John Maxwell team, one of the best leaders that we have in John Maxwell team. It's such an honor to have you in the house. Welcome, my friend. Our topic of today is diversity and inclusion in the workplace. And of course, if you do have any questions, please bring it on. We have the expert in the house, Catherine Mathis, and she's the best person to talk about this topic. She's doing this on an everyday basis, and her organization is training different organizations and helping out in building a positive corporate culture within the work space. So going back to you, Catherine, and thank you so much, really, for just kind of giving us a great intro on what diversity and inclusion is. So just for the sake of the audience, what are some of the things that you've noticed in the workplace that can be a challenge because of your experience in the work that you're doing? What are
Yeah.
some of the struggles that are going on within the workplace? Over to you, Catherine.
Gosh, that is a big question. So many things, so many ways to answer. Well, if we're going to stay on the path of talking about inclusivity, one big challenge I notice is that organizations say that they want to focus on diversity and inclusion, and they implement D&I programs and initiatives, but they don't actually live inclusivity. So, for example, you have a company who says, we're doing D&I. Look at all these great programs we have. However, we don't ever step in when somebody's engaging in workplace bullying. We allow that to occur. Or we are really focused on a harassment-free work environment, but you don't really ever talk about harassment or the opposite, which would be civility, right? So organizations like to put in these big initiatives and advertise them and talk about them, but in my experience, many organizations don't actually live these things. They see it as an initiative with a step-by-step process, which is the beginning, but in the end, everybody has to live that from the leadership on down. So that's one big challenge I see, is just how do you corral the troops into really engaging in this thing, in this culture of civility or inclusivity, as opposed to seeing it as just, here, we're going to put in some training. um, I think another big struggle I see, and this is an easy fix in some ways, is organizations have core values that they never actually use. So, I get called into organizations when they're very toxic already. That's my expertise. The organization has gone off the rails with their culture. And the one thing that a lot of my clients have in common is they weren't living their core values. So they created them, and probably diversity is one of their core values. Respect is probably one of their core values, but nobody was ever living them. And so they just become words on the website, and they're not being used. So organizations really miss a big opportunity to sort of dictate behavior and set expectations by using those core values that they've created. So those are two big challenges I see. In the end, organizations have to hold people accountable to the right behaviors, the positive behaviors that they're looking for, and make it clear that anything less than that is not going to be tolerated. Exclusive behaviors like gossip, that needs to be addressed. That's an exclusive behavior. And if you're going to claim you have an inclusive work environment, you have to come down on that type of behavior and put a stop to it. Managers have to be coached on how to address those types of things. So these are all challenges that organizations face. I think they lose their way in making these grandiose announcements that we're going to focus on inclusivity, but they lose their way on all of the pockets and corners of the organization that has to filter into.
Thank you so much. I just love how you've been able to really go down into the most minute things, because sometimes those things are really very important. Of course, I always say that you can only measure incivility based on the effect that it has on the person on the receiving side. Because sometimes you might think that you're doing so well and how you work with other people, but you really aren't. And so this is why the work that you do is so important in the workplace and organizations, and even amongst leaders. This concept is so important. Now, when a lot of organizations are so quick to put it on that they're a diverse organization, And I find that some of the struggles are something that is really coming up over and over again. It's unconscious bias,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have an organization that has, for example, an international organization that has nationalities, several nationalities from different all over the world. They struggle with that. Now, how can we mitigate unconscious bias and, of course, leverage diversity within the workplace? Over to you, Catherine.
Yeah. So unconscious bias is not going to go away, right? Our brains are trained to categorize everything, including people, because our brain takes in so much information at one time that it has to function that way. So we're never going to stop engaging in that type of behavior or that type of thought. So what that means is, back to my original definition of civility, is about really caring, and my definition of inclusivity is that you can talk about these things. So I'll share a very personal example with you. So I'm working with a client right now, and what I do when I go in with clients is a climate assessment, and then I work with a team of employees and leaders to create plans and help them move forward in changing their culture. So I'm working with this team for one of my clients, and one of the persons of color on the team, she says that she would really, one of her ideas is that she'd really like to create what she was calling safe spaces for people of color, where in this very white organization, those few individuals could come together, support each other. And she wanted to call it a safe space. And here I am as a consultant. Oh, well, that's an employer or employee resource group. Here's some information on how to implement that. And, and the way she felt was, it's like, here's this white person telling me what I need to be doing. I'm telling you, I want a safe space. And so that's where, that's, I'm the white person in the room, and let's do this. Here's the words you're supposed to use. And so that's a great example of how you can overcome this unconscious bias, where I had no idea that that's how it was coming across, that I was causing her pain, right? So she has to talk to me about it. She has to feel comfortable to say, here's why that made me uncomfortable. I'd like, and we could talk through it. And then I should be able to take that in, understand it, apologize, work with her on it. And so that's the definition of an inclusive environment, because those types of things are always going to happen because of implicit bias and because of our experiences with the world. The problem is that very rarely would someone in her position feel comfortable to bring something like that up, because in her experience, saying things like that doesn't go over so well, right? So we all have to be responsible to be open to that type of a feedback and be open to sharing that type of feedback, so that we can move forward. So now I've learned something from her, and I certainly will take that to heart, and it's something that will always stick with me. So that's an example of how to kind of overcome or navigate the world of unconscious bias that we all have.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that was such a great example. And of course, we have our audience are really excited about this topic. And thank you, Barbara, for all your contribution. And welcome, Mike Chukwu. It's great to have you here from Nigeria. And that's a leader in Nigeria that was here today. This is such an honor to have you here in our session. Because I think that this topic affects everyone, really. We all have to be sitting down in Catherine's class and be part of what she's doing. And we just learn how to work with people, because I think that in order for you to even be able to build great relationships with people, collaborate with other people. I mean, the internet, social media has made the world such a small local village right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can be here and be working with someone in Malaysia in real time. And that's what's happening here in this session. Diversity and inclusion is something we really have to pay attention to. And of course, I loved how you said that diversity goes beyond and demographic characteristics, of course, but it is so important. And I think that something that the organizations will want to learn about is what's in it for me.
Mm-hmm.
What can they benefit if they, embrace building a positive corporate culture, workplace environment, what can the organization experience? What's going to happen afterwards? Over to you, Catherine.
Yep. Yeah, so there is a ton of research that even in civility, I say simple incivility because then a lot of times then it moves into workplace bullying and all these things. But even being interrupted while you're speaking actually is very distracting for us. So I'm sure you know about Christine Porath and all of her research on
Absolutely.
incivility. And she's easy to find for you listeners. Just Google Christine Porath and Harvard Business Review, and she does very well at publishing her research in the academic world and then bringing it into the mainstream. So there's some great articles there about how even being just interrupted or being at the receiving end of a little incivility is very distracting for us, and we kind of lose our way the rest of the day. You spend the rest of the day thinking about that. So bottom line is that we are social creatures. It's inherent in our DNA that we're social and we rely on others, and we rely on others for self-esteem and to feel valued. And so it makes sense that if people feel valued and respected, that they would perform better. They would be more focused on the organization as opposed to focused on some uncivil thing that happened to them. So kind of common sense is that if people feel respected, they're going to perform better. Another hot topic in the world of HR these days is employee engagement. So you got organizations focused on that as well. Well, employee engagement is about maximizing discretionary effort on the part of an employee. So every single second of every single day, your employees have the choice to give something 100% or not. And so the more included they feel, the more valued they feel, the more respected they feel, the more they will give you that maximum discretionary effort. So inclusivity and engagement are very much tied together in that way. So you really can see an ROI. You can see better customer service. You can see better quality work. You can see more productivity if people feel respected. If they don't, then it's insidious, and you allow incivility to occur. You allow gossip to occur. It goes the other direction, and over time, people lose their way, and you can see some real damage to your organization. So there really is an ROI if you're a leader who's thinking about things from a numbers perspective. There really is. But in the end, don't you want to be an employer where people feel like they can thrive? I mean, that's the true ROI. If you want to give back, give to your employees and make sure they're happy and respected.
That is so true. And thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm going to share a personal experience. You talked about employee engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a couple of days ago, I had to stop by at CVS to pick up a medication for my niece. And it was, it was like 5:54. And the pharmacist wouldn't want to attend to me.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept saying, we're closed at 6. And I'm thinking, we still have 6 minutes, right? And so
it's a great example, though. I mean, it is. She was not engaged, right? She's like, I'm out.
And so we had my sister beside me, and she said, okay, you are the civility expert, and you talk about engagement. This is a great example. She's ready to go.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And
So,
after I had spent some time, to try to speak to her, and I said, you know what? This medication is so needed. This girl needs to take the medication. And she said, oh, you know what? I'm just going to do you a favor and just try to process this. And I'm thinking, wow.
it's not a favor because it's not 6 o'clock yet, but yeah, tell yourself whatever you need to get it done.
But this is a true example. And I love to share, real life examples just so that people can connect that this is happening every day. this is happening every day. And it kind of seems like it's normal, but it shouldn't be.
Nope.
And in the long run, of course, it shows up in the numbers of the organization. And thank you so much for mentioning that. And welcome. Frank is a civility expert in Ghana. It's good to have you in the house. Welcome, Gazelle. It's good to have you in the house. I think it's from Iran, but thank you so much. Welcome, Ellen. Thank you from Virginia. It's good to have you in the house. It's a civilized presence. If you are just joining us for the first time, I don't want to say you're late to the party, but you are. But you can have access to the video on my page. And today's topic is diversity and inclusion. Bring in your questions, bring in your comments if you have some true life examples, something that you want us to learn about. Please bring them on. Of course, we have the expert in the house, and welcome, Dee. It's good to have you here from DC. Thank you so much for making out time to be here. Now, back to you again, Catherine. This is interesting. I'm enjoying this conversation. And my next question for you would be, so if we have this huge organization or with a small, huge, whatever, and who hasn't really been aware of how they've been treating their employees and what has been happening, what are the steps or tools and strategies? What can they do moving forward just so that they can achieve success in the coming year? Over to you, Catherine.
Yeah. Start with a climate assessment and make sure that people feel good about the organization. And what's interesting to me is a lot of times I do these climate assessments and leaders are pretty shocked by the way people feel, that they do feel kind of used and abused or disrespected, or that there's bullying or whatever. I do always kind of present this report to leaders, and there's always some, really? That's how people feel, but the good leaders will own it and take it in and then be focused on solving it. Some leaders will kind of distance themselves from it. I had one leader that kept saying, well, that's not the organization I thought I was leading. Kind of like, what's wrong with you people? Like, it is the organization you are leading. It is you. So that's step number one, is to do climate assessments. And then from there, I think a real sort of basic step that so many organizations miss is they do not train managers on how to create a positive environment inside their team. So you have a global organization with thousands of employees. That means that the managers and the supervisors and the team leads, right down to the nitty gritty, they all need to have expertise on building inclusive, civil, positive environments there in their team, because that's the only way you can ensure that is occurring. And then as you do your climate assessments, you can certainly figure out where the departments or the teams are that feel unhappy or that it's not inclusive, and then help step in and resolve those issues. So it really does fall on the shoulders of the managers and the supervisors to be able to ensure people feel good about coming to work. And a lot of companies fail on teaching people how to do that. So that's the first step, is a climate assessment.
Well, thank you so much. And so do you have, of course, I have another question is, do you have programs in place? Of course, I know that you do, but for the purpose of the viewers, programs in place for the workplace that they can be part of, or how does it work in getting your company to work with them?
Yeah, so we spent some time interviewing the leaders and the stakeholders to find out what their perceptions of the problems in the organizations are and what do they want to know. Sometimes we also like to do focus groups with employees to find out what their issues are, and that way we can craft a survey that's custom for the organization. So happy to have a conversation with anybody who's interested in talking more about that or how we go about doing that. So our surveys are custom made for each organization that we work with, and of course we pull survey questions from the scientific research. We're not just making questions up off the cuff. But there are plenty of companies out there that they have one survey and it's the only survey. For example, Gallup has its employee engagement survey. It's 12 questions. I disagree with that methodology because every organization has different problems and needs that they need to solve. So that's how we go about doing our climate assessments, is through tailoring them to what the organization needs. So definitely give us a call if you want to talk more about that. And then from there, we sit down with what we call an action team, which is a group of some leaders and some employees. So we have people from all different levels of the organization, and we just little by little create strategic plans. We create a 6-month plan, and then another 6-month plan, and then another 6-month plan, and we help the organization move the needle. Now, culture change from a toxic place takes a long time, right? So my goal in coming into organizations is to teach them how to get control of their culture through creation of these strategic plans and executing those plans. And then after we do that about 3 or 4 times, then I exit and they're able to continue to do that on their own. Part of that learning is that leaders have to learn how to listen to their employees, and that's part of what I'm hoping to teach the organization. So, going back to my example with this woman who wanted safe spaces, and I'm telling her, no, it's an employee resource group. To be able to teach leaders to have those kinds of conversations, so that they can really create an inclusive environment. And therefore, D&I is not just some initiative with a plan. It's a lot more complicated than that. There's all the interpersonal stuff too. And that's what I hope to teach the leaders and the employees as I work with them.
Wow, this is great. And I had a question recently, and someone asked me about inclusion and working with differently abled people.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was very interesting. And so I would like you as an expert really to comment on that, because a lot of organizations, I think, are not properly equipped to embrace differently abled people.
Mm-hmm.
And with my experience with the work that I do, differently abled does not mean that you cannot work. You might have some form of disability, but it has nothing to do with your brain. And so I would like you to speak about that.
Yeah,
Over to you.
that goes back to inclusivity, right? So in some ways, you do have to think about different groups of people and what their needs are. And so yeah, differently abled people, so I have one client who has a woman who's blind, and she has really become an ambassador for accommodating different types of disabilities and making sure that every single PowerPoint presentation ever delivered in their organization has closed captioning on it, and making sure that every presentation in their organization ever is in a location where everybody can get to it. So having that ambassador is really helpful in that organization. She wants that role. She's willing to take that role on. You're not, that's a key thing that they have that other organizations may not have. But that's what it boils down to. That's inclusivity and civility. I care about this group of people. I want to make sure they feel like they belong. And what does that mean? It means that I have to provide accommodations for them in ways that so they have the same amount of access to everything that everybody else has. That's how they're going to feel included. So that's my answer. If you have an ambassador of different kind of groups of people, that's a great way to lean on those people to help ensure you can build an inclusive environment, because it's hard for me as somebody who's not blind to understand what it is that someone who is blind might need. So if you're able to have somebody who can help you understand those things, that's key.
That is so true. And thank you so much for sharing that, because I was so surprised to get that question. After a session, I had someone sent me an email and asked about this and said, Louisa, does inclusion include people that are differently abled? And I thought that's really important for organizations to look into, because sometimes in some countries, maybe not in the United States, but in some countries, they have really slim opportunities for differently abled people. And I think that that shouldn't be the case if they're
Right.
able to get the work done. But I do know that, of course, the organizations will have to build the right facility that, for example, if we're thinking about, the like a chair for them, disabled wheelchair or something. You have to have the right access to get them in and out, and some organizations are really not thinking that way yet. But I hope that they are able to incorporate that in really planning for next year. So another question I'll have for you today, and that's going to be my last question, would be, with your experience, are there organizations that are really doing this and has succeeding and in people's treatment and how they're treating their workers or employees, or really embracing this great concept of building a positive workplace? Over to you.
Yeah, I mean, there's many case studies online about organizations. Forbes, of course, does its 100 best places to work list every year, and the two folks who manage that list and are part of the judging panel, they've got a couple books out. I definitely recommend picking them up. I will have to email you the name of the book so that you can post it.
That's right.
But they go into all the different categories of why organizations win Great Place to Work awards and what those organizations are all doing, and certainly inclusivity is part of that. And creating channels for communication when somebody feels excluded is a big part of that as well. So yeah, there are many organizations already focused on being a good place to work because they recognize it's a good way to be. Unfortunately, I get called into organizations when it's already pretty toxic, and unfortunately, usually I get called in because something happened. So rarely is it, oh gosh, I'm concerned that our employees are unhappy. Will you help us, Catherine? It's usually, oh gosh, we have a lawsuit, Catherine, can you help us? And so that's unfortunate, and it hurts my heart a little bit, but at least something finally got them to pay attention, and I can come in and help. And they do, once I do that climate assessment and the leaders get that feedback, is usually where I can see, once I get past some of that defensiveness, where they are very concerned and making sure that people feel included. But it's hard, it's hard work.
Wow. Yes, guys, it's so good to have had Catherine Mattice here with us today. And we've learned quite a ton of information from Catherine. And of course, you can connect with her, like I said, on social media. LinkedIn would be the best way to connect with Catherine. You can send us an email as well, Louisa at thecivilityacademy.com. If you would like Catherine and her team to come in and do some work with the organization, are you in North America or in any part of the world? I believe that she's ready to take clients. It doesn't matter where you are at now.
That's right.
Yes, we can do Zoom. We can do anything that needs to be done.
Right.
But Catherine, I want to say a big thank you to you for making out time to be here. And guys, I really have to apologize, but of course, this is going to be our last session for the year. And welcome, Minister Rajan from South Africa. It's good to have you in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that this is a topic that you love very much. So thank you for making our time to be here. This is our last session for the year, and we're coming back stronger and 2020 in January. We're going to take a 2 weeks break because every end of the year we kind of take the 2 weeks break and we come back a lot stronger with so many great sessions. And of course, if you're interested in getting certified, getting trained, and you want to do the work that we do, we have information for you. Just send me an email, Louisa at thecivilityacademy.com. And thank you for some of you who have been writing to me and talking about topics that you want to learn on the show. In January, we have a lot of great things that are coming up. The book study, it's coming up in January. And like I told you, the book study is going to be on my book, The Civilized Leader. So please grab your copy. We'll be doing it in a private room this time, a private group for the book study. Grab your copy. We'll do this in January. Some of you have already grabbed your copies and bought your books. Thank you so much. And yes, Minister Rajan, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a wonderful Christmas as well. So I hate to let you go, guys. I hate to let you go, but I have to. But I am still going to be accessible on email. Send me an email, Louisa at the civilityacademy.com. If you think that you're doing something great that you want us to learn about and want to be aired on our show as well, featured in our show, you have to send me an email and let me learn more about the work that you're doing. And please make sure there's an alignment with what we do, because what we do here is the message of civility. And so if you're doing something totally different, I might not be able to bring you on here. I've had so many requests and I always feel so bad when I have to say no, but we have to respect the audience and just do what we promised to do. So, but thank you for always writing to me. If there's something you want to learn, these sessions have been for you and it will always be for you. We're interested in improving and doing it a lot better in the new year. If there's something that you want to see, for example, you want to see nice colors, let me know. Whatever that you want to see. And if you want to have Catherine come back, of course, I want to have a comeback.
I'd love to come back. This is great.
So she will be here, of course, when she has a moment, because she's very busy. We'll find out when she has a moment in the new year to bring her back here, and of course, some other people. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you so much for your support, for always coming on here. Every time that I turn on my camera, you're here. I don't take that for granted. I want to say thank you, because without you, the show really wouldn't go on. And you have been amazing. You've encouraged me so much. And then, we've grown. We have, viewers from all over the world. This is amazing. Last 2 weeks, we had a video and we had over 13,000 views. And I just want to
Wow.
say thank you. If you do not find value in what we do, you will not be connecting with me all the time. But I don't take that for granted. So I want to be the first person to wish you a Merry Christmas in advance and a Happy New Year. I believe it's going to be a great year for you, 2020. And we have to come back with a bang. That's why we're taking the 2 weeks off. So please write to me. I want to hear from you. I want to read from you. What did you learn? How has the sessions helped you? I've had really good, feedbacks and remarks, and I want to hear more. Which of the sessions did you like the most? What topics did you like the most? How did you use the content? How else can we help you? We're going to have master classes starting in January. And so, because I've had emails and said, Louisa, we want to have more of the contents to use. So you can be part of the master classes. You can be part of the trainings and everything that we're doing. But thank you so much. And of course, Catherine, I want to say thank you. Thank you again
Thank you to you. It was
for
very
just
cool.
being here. It was good. It was good. And thank you to your team for making this happen, because you work with a great team, and I really appreciate everyone for just putting this together. So, guys, I'm so sorry that I have to go, but bye for now, and have yourself a wonderful rest of the year. And I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you in the new year. Take care. Bye for now.